Hey guys, I wanted to share with you the meeting that I just had with our wolf scouts. So I guess starting next week, they're going to be bear scouts because we're here at the end of the year. Um, I wanted to teach everybody a little bit about animal poop because animal poop is pretty fun to talk about, in all honesty. Um, when you go for a walk in the woods, when I go for a walk in the woods, my favorite part of the walk is getting to see animals. But I almost never get to see animals in the woods because I make too much noise and they run away. And so instead, I look for animal sign in the woods. And one of the best animal signs that I know is animal tracks. And you can see those if the dirt happens to be just right to hold footprints. And that's pretty fun. More often than not, the dirt is not ready to hold footprints, and so you don't get really good animal tracks. So instead, you can look for other kinds of animal sign, like maybe broken branches where they pass through, or maybe some feathers on the ground, or some fur caught in a bush, or poop. Because when the animal poops, it leaves the poop behind, and the poop stays there for a little while, and so you can kind of know who's been in the area, even if they were there 2 or 3 or 4 days ago. You still have an idea. Um, and so you can actually learn a lot about an animal from the poop that it leaves behind. And I wanted to show you some examples of poop. Okay, fair warning, the poop that I'm about to show you is not real poop. It's fake, and I'll give you a recipe as we get a little bit further along for how you can make poop like this at home. Don't eat it. It's got edible ingredients, but it doesn't taste very good. It's really just for sculpting with. But here is some of the sculpting that I've done. I'm going to start with this kind of poop right here. Okay, so this poop right here is about the size and the shape of rabbit poop. We see rabbit poop in our backyard all the time because we have a lot of rabbits that live back behind us. Rabbit poop is going to be about the size of your pinky fingernail, maybe a little bit bigger. It's going to be basically round. And if you were to break it open and look inside it, you would find that it's really just kind of grass and that kind of stuff all squished together. Um, I do not recommend that you handle any poop that's not this fake edible poop with your bare hands. You should be using gloves if you want to handle it. But there's nothing wrong with picking up poop in your gloved hands and looking at it to get an idea about what that animal ate and how that animal lived. So here's some rabbit poop. It's little. Now this poop is a little bit bigger. You can see it's about the size of my pinky. This is about the size of deer poop. And deer poop, usually when you find deer poop, it's kind of like rabbit poop. They'll make it in a pile, and you can find a little pile of it, and you say, oh, well, if there's a pile, the deer has been here recently. You can look at the poop and see if does it look wet and shiny? Does it look, that would make it fresh, and that might mean that the deer was there pretty recently. If it's all dried out and basically looks like hay that's been squished together, then you know that it's pretty old poop and it's on its way to decomposing, and it's been a while since a deer was in the area. Now, just last week, my family and I went on vacation, and we saw poop that looked like this. These poop little pellets are a little bigger than the deer pellets and certainly bigger than the rabbit pellets. Here's another rabbit pellet. There you go. These are about the size of elk pellets, but they look kind of the same inside. If you were to open up any one of these, you would still find that it's grass and plant matter like that that's been kind of digested and compressed. Another thing that's notable about this stuff, even if it's pretty fresh, if it still looks kind of wet, you'll notice that it doesn't actually stink, not like dog poop or cat poop, because herbivore poop doesn't smell as bad. Herbivores, well, deer and rabbits and elk and moose. There's a moose pellet, really big. It's like the size of my thumb. These are all herbivores, which is to say that all they eat is plants. They never eat animals. They don't eat anything but plants. And you can tell by their poop that they are plant eaters. Not all herbivore poop comes in pellets. If you think about cows, when they poop, they leave a big old splat, a big old cow pie, and that doesn't come in pellets like this, and that's because their digestive system just works a little differently. But goats poop like this, and sheep, and I guess antelope. and maybe not antelope actually, but anyway, most herbivores you're going to find, well, all herbivores are going to have poop that will have nothing but grass and plants left behind in it. So that is our herbivore poop. And there's another kind of animal that eats plants and animals and really whatever it can kind of get its little hands on. And in this case, I do mean little hands because this right here is about the size and shape of a raccoon poop. You can see it's actually kind of looks like a cat poop, doesn't it? It's a little bit bigger than a cat poop, but it's got these rounded ends on it. And this particular raccoon poop, I don't know if you can see it, but when I made sure to include some berries because often you'll find in an animal that's eating berries that their poop is going to have little bits of berry inside it. And as one of my scouts this evening said, that is how the plants in the forest, some of them, it's how they spread their seeds. An animal will come by and eat the little berry. In this case, it's a craisin, and so there's no seeds involved in it. But if they were to eat a berry whole and then poop out the seed, that seed might actually germinate and become a new little plant somewhere in the forest. And so that's how some plants actually spread their seeds, is by hoping that their berries get eaten by animals and pooped out somewhere else. That is, by the way, why we have so many blackberry bushes here in Kirkland, is because the birds eat the blackberries and then poop out the seeds. And here's a different kind of poop, and you can see it's a different shape. You see how this is kind of tapered on the ends, it comes to a point. This one happens to come at a point on both ends. Sometimes they only come to a point on one end. And I don't know if you can see, but there's stuff in here. Let me lift it up so you can see it a little closer. There's the camera. Those are feathers. Now, what might have eaten this? What might be this size? You can see it's a little smaller than a cat, or maybe it's about cat size. But it's not a cat, it's something you might find in the woods. This is what you might expect fox poop to look like if a fox happened to eat a bird. Foxes eat all kinds of things. They don't only eat birds, and so you might find something that has fur in it or little bones, and you would know that that's fox poop too. It was little, like that, littler than a cat. Now here's another one, a little bigger than a cat. What do you suppose that is? It's tapered on the ends again, and so you know that that's the sign of a carnivore poop. And if we look inside it, we can see, I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's hair in there. See? And that hair tells you that this is a carnivore or perhaps an omnivore, but it's something that just ate an animal. See? Yeah. That might be the fur of a rat. It might be something else like that. This is basically what you might expect coyote poop to look like, the tapered ends. This would smell really bad, by the way, and so would the fox poop. Carnivore poop smells terrible because of their diet. So that is my world of poop that I sculpted for you, and I wanted to show you, let me turn off the camera for just a sec, or at least move over to this camera. I wanted to show you how to make fake poop at home because this is actually super fun to do. I have here a bowl that I mixed up during our scout meeting, which is kind of set up. Yeah, this is pretty good for sculpting at this point. That's good. And it, you can see, has some chunks in it. It's brown. It kind of holds its shape, but you can kind of squish it into new shapes. And it's totally harmless because it's made out of food ingredients. Here's our ingredients. You need half a cup of rolled oats. You could probably do this with instant oatmeal. I haven't tried, but rolled oats like you might make oatmeal cookies from. And you just take them, what you do to start out with, just spend a few minutes just kind of picking them up and squishing them between your fingers to break them up so they're not big chunks anymore. The smaller the chunks, the better you'll be able to mold it. Also, if you make this stuff and let it sit for a couple of hours, it is also a whole lot easier to work with than it is fresh. So you kind of mix this up, and you can, at this point, I don't have it here handy because I used it all in my den meeting, but you can now add a teaspoon or two of cocoa powder, and that's what gives this its poop-like color. And you can, optional ingredient, you can put some peanut butter into it, and the peanut butter just kind of helps it stick together a little better. And once you've got your peanut butter, it gets kind of messy, so have a towel. Once you get your peanut butter mixed in and your cocoa powder mixed in, then you take a little bit of water and you just kind of dribble a little water in. Be careful you don't put in too much, because it's always easier to add than to take away. And then you just kind of mush it up like that between your fingers until it starts to get the right consistency. Now, my hands are covered in oatmeal. Wipe this off. Put this down, and then I'll show you real quick. My ready-made stuff here. So to make herbivore poop, like I said, herbivore poop has blunt ends on it. It's often kind of an oval in shape, but it'll be rounded on the ends, or if it's tapered, it's just going to be a tiny little taper. And that is about the size of an elk poop. An elk poop is, it's about the size of my thumb. It's probably a little bigger than your thumb. A moose poop is even bigger than that. A moose poop is bigger than my thumb. And it honestly looks about like that when it's dried. There, moose poop. And then if you want to make your own fake carnivore poop, you're going to have to find something to add to your mix. Like, for instance, feathers. I found some feathers. We have a couch cushion that is filled with down feathers, and there's always feathers that come poking out of it. And so that's what I used to make my fox poop. I just grabbed some feathers that were poking out of the couch cushion and mixed them in. And then, of course, if you're making fox, you want it to be smaller than the cat poop, and you want to have it have tapered ends, because carnivores have those tapered ends. Sometimes if you find carnivore poop out in the wild, sometimes it'll look kind of like this. It'll have little chunks, like it'll be broken in the middle. And so it won't be tapered on both ends, but it'll look like that, where there's a tapered end and then there's a chunk, like it breaks, and then there's another piece over here and another tapered end. That's totally normal. That happens more, I guess, with cat poop than it does with, like, not cat, like animals in the cat family. So your bobcats, your wildcats, your mountain lions. The mountain lion poop would be a lot bigger. And with coyote poop and wolf poop and fox poop, it tends to not break up into those little perfect little chunks. And then for your omnivore poop is kind of fun because you can really put whatever you want in there. Raccoons eat practically anything, and so you might find bits of shell in raccoon poop. You might find berries in raccoon poop. You might find bones. You might find, I don't know, candy bar wrappers, maybe? I hope not, but maybe. And the raccoon poop, it's going to be, I don't know, about the size of a cat poop. This might be a little big, but it's going to have blunt ends on it. In fact, the resource that I was looking at today says it kind of looks like a Tootsie Roll. And I guess that kind of looks like a Tootsie Roll. So now you know how to make your own poop at home. Please do not eat this poop unless you have your parents' permission, but I will actually tell you it doesn't taste very good. It doesn't have any sugar in it. And so even though it sounds like it would be good with the cocoa powder and the peanut butter and the oatmeal, you just make cookies with more cocoa powder and peanut butter and oatmeal and throw this stuff away after you've had your fun sculpting it. So if you guys come up with some really awesome poops and you want to show them to me, fake poops. If you come up with some awesome fake poops and want to show them to me, that's awesome. Just send them to me. I want to see them. I want to see what kind of clever stuff you come up with. There are some good resources online for pictures, illustrations of animal scat. Scat is the more official way of talking about this stuff, but poop is fun to say. And so see what you can come up with and send me what you do, because I would love to see it. You can post it on the Facebook thing that I'm going to set up. All right. Take care, guys. I will talk to you later on. I hope you guys have an excellent holiday and a happy summer.